Hello, David Darko. In this video, I want to present my analysis of the first Sub-Zero, Bi-Han. I will not be commenting much on who Bi-Han becomes after death, that being Saibot, but I will use his character to pontificate on what makes a person evil, how much agency we have in choosing if we are, and what does redemption mean. The Mortal Kombat timelines are convoluted, so for the purposes of this video, I will only be using Mortal Kombat Mythologies and ancillary sources for my analysis. Prelude. To start on Bi-Han's origins, he and his brother Kuai Liang were abducted by the Lin Kuei and trained from birth to be ruthless assassins. In the beginning of MK Mythologies, it is stated that Bi-Han is a thief and assassin, that he is Lin Kuei. He has been completely indoctrinated into this clan and takes pride in this classification. He vehemently corrects Quan Chi when he calls him a ninja, saying that Scorpion was a ninja and that he is an assassin.
I see the ninja has been successful in retrieving my map, as I have foreseen.
Let's get something straight. I am not a ninja. I am Lin Kuei. Scorpion was a ninja.
Bi-Han does this a fair amount of times throughout the story, as you will come to see. In Mythologies, he embarks on a quest to retrieve the map of the elements from the Shaolin Temple. On this quest, he gratuitously encounters Scorpion, a ninja from a rival clan, and kills him in combat. Bi-Han successfully retrieves the map of the elements and takes it back to his Grandmaster. Upon informing the Grandmaster of his success, Quan Chi interrupts to update Bi-Han's quest. Bi-Han correctly deduces that Quan Chi sent Scorpion on the same mission, thus potentially compromising Bi-Han's mission.
Scorpion was tipped off. He knew I was breaking into that temple, and if he wasn't there, there wouldn't have been a battle. You are responsible for this, sorcerer.
Well, I've also retained Scorpion services. In case you failed, I needed some assurance.
Your peace of mind almost cost me this mission.
Enough!
Despite Quan Chi's obvious deception, the Grandmaster doesn't really care because Quan Chi was able to wipe out the Shirai Ryu in Scorpion's death, the Shirai Ryu being their rival clan. Bi-Han obviously doesn't trust Quan Chi, but he persists on the second mission anyways, out of loyalty to the Lin Kuei. Using the map he stole from the Shaolin Temple, he is now supposed to infiltrate the Temple of the Elements and retrieve Shinnok's amulet after defeating the four elementals, including Fujin, the god of wind. Bi-Han successfully does this and is on the precipice of retrieving the amulet whenever Quan Chi appears and steals it. He states that, now that all the elementals are defeated, he could enter and steal the amulet for Shinnok, who will then destroy all realms, including Earthrealm. Bi-Han is skeptical, wanting to believe that Quan Chi is just crazy, but he knows that what he said is true.
The amulet! I have Shinnok's amulet!
Whose amulet?
He is my deity, ruler of the Netherrealm, and soon destroyer of your Earthrealm.
What are you talking about?
This amulet, it is the key to Shinnok's power as an Elder God. When returned to him, he will regain his powers and be freed from the confines of the Netherrealm.
I thought Shao Kahn was the—
Shao Kahn is nothing but a peasant ruler of a long-dead realm. Shinnok is the destroyer of all realms, including Khan's outworld.
Destroyer of all realms? You are insane. That amulet isn't worth the bronze it's molded from.
Believe what you will, Sub-Zero. Goodbye, ninja.
Shortly after Quan Chi leaves, Raiden appears and tells Bi-Han the consequences of his ignorance. He states that he's weaker in the Netherrealm, and as a result, Bi-Han is the only person who can save Earthrealm. Bi-Han acquiesces because the other option is essentially death. His newest mission is to tail Quan Chi and ensure that he doesn't give the amulet to Shinnok.
Do you realize what you've done?
I was just earning my living.
Your clan's ignorance and greed will cost this entire realm. You'll now have to set things straight.
Quan Chi could simply be a lunatic sorcerer. I never heard of an elder god named Shinnok, or of a place called the Netherrealm.
You better start believing in both, because you're going to the Netherrealm, and you're going to bring back the amulet. We must act quickly. I have no dominion in the Netherrealm. You are reality's only hope.
I'll do it, Thunder God. Only because I don't have a choice.
Then stand back! This is a portal into the Netherrealm. Once through, follow Quan Chi, and try to get the amulet before he gets to Shinnok. I also have this advice. Beware the Brothers of the Shadow. The Netherrealm is a place for lost souls. If you fail, your soul will join theirs, as well as all the souls in this entire realm.
Bi-Han then ventures into the Netherrealm, where he is eventually imprisoned. In this scene, depending on whether or not you let Scorpion live, you can get a Shinnok or Scorpion encounter. In Shinnok's encounter, he essentially states that Bi-Han belongs in the Netherrealm. The only reason he can be there is if he were rejected from his own. More specifically, that the only way he could exist in the Netherrealm is if his soul had the impurities of evil. As for the Scorpion encounter, Scorpion blames Bi-Han for the death of his clan and family. Bi-Han denies this and says that he only killed Scorpion because he had to and had no part in the murder of his clan and family.
Who are you?
A lost soul. The guard is right, you know. Where would you escape to? If you are here, then you must belong here. Rejected from your own realm, no doubt.
I wasn't rejected. I was sent.
Rejected or sent. You couldn't exist here unless your soul contained the impurities of evil.
Haven't you ever tried to escape, old man?
Escape? Oh, I'll be leaving this realm shortly. But first I must play Raiden's game.
Don't bother worrying about escape.
Who are you?
I am a dead man. But somehow you have retained your mortality, which would mean you are vulnerable to death. I am Scorpion. You killed me in cold blood.
I had no choice.
You could have let me live.
Then I would be the dead one.
But my clan and family would still be alive.
What?
It wasn't enough to kill me. You had to destroy every last remnant of my being, including my wife and child.
You're mistaken. Quan Chi is responsible for their deaths.
Words will not save you.
Eventually, Bi-Han breaks out of the prison of souls and continues on his quest for redemption. His ventures capture the attention of Quan Chi's personal assassins, one being Serena. Serena wants to leave the Netherrealm. It is implied that she wants more for herself and doesn't want to continue to be and do evil in perpetuity. Her reluctance doesn't stop her from following orders, but it does make her more skeptical. Serena, Kaya, and Chitaka remark how strange it is for a mortal to be in the Netherrealm.
Well, he's definitely immortal. His soul is still contained inside his body.
A mortal can't exist here with his soul intact.
Unless Shinnok allowed it to be.
Serena notes this and informs Quan Chi of Bi-Han's activities. Quan Chi demands that she alert the Keepers and send a full garrison to intercept Bi-Han. She remarks that doing so is overkill and implies that she can handle him on her own. This seems like it could be Serena's first attempt at making an escape with Bi-Han, though this suggestion of hers is shut down. Quan Chi scolds Serena for questioning him, demands that she obey him. Serena does so, though is thwarted by Bi-Han. Incidentally, Bi-Han spares Serena and makes his way to Quan Chi's chamber. Quan Chi tells Bi-Han that he's not only too late, but also essentially just in time. He says that the reason why Raiden sent him in particular is because the Netherrealm is a place for evil beings, that he could not exist there unless he himself were evil. Quan Chi offers Bi-Han an opportunity to join the Brothers of the Shadow and worship Lord Shinnok. Bi-Han refuses, and a fight ensues between the two.
The Netherrealm is a place for evil beings. You cannot exist here unless you were tainted with evil. You belong here. Join my Brothers of the Shadow and worship our Lord Shinnok.
Never, sorcerer!
Then, so it shall be, ninja.
Nearing the end of their fight, Serena comes from behind and delivers the final blow to defeat Quan Chi. And then this exchange happens.
Why did you help me?
You are still immortal. That means you can escape the Netherrealm.
There won't be anywhere to go if I don't get the amulet back.
Take me with you. I've waited an eternity to escape.
You don't understand. I can't leave without you.
confused, asks her why she's helping him. Serena essentially says that she wants to escape with him. Bi-Han tries to explain his predicament, but is interrupted by a deadly beam which pierces Serena, delivered by Shinnok. Bi-Han catches her and looks up at Shinnok. Bi-Han defeats him and traverses back to Earthrealm. He delivers the amulet to Raiden and inquires about his morality.
Here. The amulet.
Impressive, Sub-Zero. Perhaps you'll reconcile your reckless past after all.
That's it? Not even a thank you?
Thank yourself for undoing a problem that you created.
Quan Chi told me that you sent me because my soul was tainted with evil. Is that true?
You are a superb warrior, Sub-Zero. Only you can control your destiny. Not even the gods can alter your chosen path in life.
Was that a yes? Or a no?
That was a yes. But only you can change it.
Analysis. Now that I've given a timeline of events, we can analyze things to make a coherent point. What is ignorance? Ignorance, noun, lack of knowledge or information. The way I'd like to apply this definition to Bi-Han is ignorance with malicious intent, where one has the option to know but simply chooses not to. There are many times where Bi-Han has an inkling that something may be off, but he chooses to remain ignorant to serve his clan. He's ignorant whenever he accepts his mission to retrieve the map of the elements. He's ignorant of his encounter of Scorpion. He's ignorant of what he's supposed to do with said map. He's ignorant of why there would be 4 literal elemental gods guarding this amulet. He's ignorant of why Quan Chi wants this amulet so bad and what it could do. He's ignorant of who Shinnok is or even the existence of the Netherrealm. He's ignorant of his innate evil. He's ignorant of the death of Scorpion's clan. He's just plain ignorant. In this case, ignorance is evil. Oftentimes in the story, Bi-Han is confronted with his evil.
I am a dead man, but somehow you have retained your mortality, which would mean you are vulnerable to death. I am Scorpion. You killed me in cold blood.
I had no choice.
You could have let me live.
Then I would be the dead one.
But my clan and family would still be alive.
What?
It wasn't enough to kill me. You had to destroy every last remnant of my being, including my wife and child.
You must belong here, rejected from your own realm, no doubt.
I wasn't rejected. I was sent.
Rejected or sent. You couldn't exist here unless your soul contained the impurities of evil.
Well, he's definitely immortal. His soul is still contained inside his body.
A mortal can't exist here with his soul intact.
Unless Shinnok allowed it to be.
Don't you realize why Raiden sent you? The Netherrealm is a place for evil beings. You cannot exist here unless you were tainted with evil. You belong here.
Quan Chi told me that you sent me because my soul was tainted with evil. Is that true?
You are a superb warrior, Sub-Zero. Only you can control your destiny. Not even the gods can alter your chosen path in life.
Was that a yes? Or a no?
That was a yes.
Despite his distrust for Quan Chi, after figuring out that he hired Scorpion to essentially intercept him, he persists blindly out of loyalty. Loyalty to his Grand Master, who likely knew that Bi-Han would encounter Scorpion. In the Netherrealm, when Shinnok, who Bi-Han doesn't even recognize because he has no idea what he looks like, states that Bi-Han was rejected from his realm for being evil, Bi-Han tries to correct him by saying that he was sent. Shinnok states that the distinction is meaningless, as Bi-Han could only be mortal in the Netherrealm if he suffered the impurities of evil. In this case, to deflect any sort of moral responsibility, Bi-Han changes the subject. In Scorpion's encounter, Bi-Han deflects responsibility of the murders of Scorpion's clan onto Quan Chi. Scorpion, although blinded by death and anger, is right to blame Bi-Han, as his ignorance and complicity directly contributed to Quan Chi being able to murder Scorpion's clan and family in the first place. Even if Bi-Han knew what Quan Chi would do, they're rival clans, and Bi-Han has shown propensity to be incredibly loyal to the Lin Kuei. It's possible that had things been just a little bit different, Bi-Han may have been the person who murdered Scorpion's clan and family. During Bihan's confrontation in Quan Chi's chamber, Bihan is given an interesting offer. He's told by Quan Chi that he's evil and should basically embrace it. Bihan declines for what could be a myriad of reasons. He could have declined because he's holistically loyal to the Lin Kuei. He wants to redeem himself and prove to everyone that he's not evil. He doesn't trust the sorcerer at all and now has an opportunity to assert his agency in the absence of his Grand Master. And or he acknowledges that he is evil and just desires to change. Whenever Serena aids him in defeating Quan Chi despite trying to kill him earlier, Bihan shows a softer side to Serena, asking her why she helped him instead of, just killing her on the spot. Through her actions, Bihan has shown that she too seeks redemption. That despite serving under Quan Chi as an assassin and likely having to do some treacherous things, she too can change. This whole interaction of theirs represents one's potential to change. Initially, Bihan killed Scorpion, but whenever he's attacked by Serena, he decides to spare her. Granted, Scorpion is from a rival clan and Serena is nobody to Bihan, but if he's this ruthless assassin, why leave an adversary alive to recover and potentially attack you again? He does it because he wants to change. In a small but powerful gesture, Bihan catches Serena instead of just letting her fall, implying that he cares for her to some degree. Again, Bihan is known as one of the Lin Kuei's most ruthless and cunning assassins. Serena had previously tried to kill him, and yet despite all this, he catches her. They've only had 2 real interactions, one of which was a very brief conversation, so it doesn't make sense how Bihan would be attached to her in any meaningful way, unless you look at the story under the lens of redemption. Bihan isn't holding on to just Serena. He's holding on to his own redemption. Serena acts as a mirror to Bihan. They are both cunning assassins who served evil people. Serena, however, shows Bihan that redemption is possible. So is Bihan evil? As confirmed by Raiden, yes, Bihan is evil, but he had virtually no agency in him becoming this way. He was abducted whenever he was an infant and indoctrinated into this clan, or cult. He has likely robbed and killed many innocents and has perpetrated similar acts out of loyalty to the Lin Kuei. Even if his reasons for doing so are sympathetic, him being abducted when he was an infant and indoctrinated, thus not really giving him much of a choice to rebel in the first place, doesn't really matter to those that he wronged. The scariest thing about someone like Bihan is that he's not some malefactor that was born innately evil.
You were born ignorant of evil, Bihan.
In time, I learned better.
You have lost yourself to it.
He was systematically manufactured by humans. Humans who were drunk with avarice and an overblown sense of self. Humans that, like anyone else, just want to get ahead. Obviously, the Lin Kuei differ by the extent to which they are willing to go to get ahead in the first place, but the principle is still there. Bihan has no agency in determining if he was evil. Had his actions not led to the potential destruction of all realms, it's possible that Bihan would live on, never questioning his morality and his grooming done by the Lin Kuei. But since these are the cards that Bihan was dealt, we have to acknowledge that redemption is possible. Sure, at the end, he pledges loyalty to the Lin Kuei, but is it not possible that Bihan could defect? Let's say Serena, Bihan's redemption personified, was rescued from the Netherrealm, and just as Bihan aided her, she aids Bihan in escaping the Lin Kuei. Let's say Bihan isn't killed by Scorpion during the first tournament, maybe even saved by Serena, similarly to how she saves Kuai Liang's life in Mortal Kombat Deception, and as a result, Bihan lives long enough to reconcile his evil actions with his morality. Could he redeem himself? I believe so. Redemption in Bihan's case would likely look like him defecting from the Lin Kuei and choosing to be informed. No more would this redeemed version of Bihan hide behind the excuse of not knowing the implications of his actions. Instead of being a thief and assassin, he could dedicate his impressive skills to the betterment of whatever society he chooses to be a part of, likely just defending Earthrealm from outside threats, similarly to how he did in Mythologies. Just this time, with more of a choice to do so and, not being forced. It's worth noting that Bihan does change in a meaningful way at the end of Mythologies. Chronologically, Mythologies precedes the events of the first Mortal Kombat tournament. In Bihan's arcade ending, it's stated that he takes the handsome prize he gets for assassinating Shang Tsung and uses it to retire from the Lin Kuei. I think it's safe to say that Bihan isn't necessarily the wealthiest man ever, given his blind loyalty to the Lin Kuei, coupled by his Grand Master's willingness to take advantage of his ignorance for his own personal gain. Any spoils he would have acquired would have likely been greatly taxed by his Grand Master. Additionally, it is a sacred vow of the Lin Kuei that a member may never leave. If a member breaks said vow, they are to be sought out and killed. This is what happened when Kuai Liang tried to leave the Lin Kuei in Mortal Kombat 3, and what they tried to do to Cyrax in Mortal Kombat 9. His financial destitution, indoctrination into the Lin Kuei, and the lethal threat directed towards anyone who even thinks of leaving could all be sufficient push and pull factors that keep Bi-Han tied to the Lin Kuei. These are all plausible explanations that explain Bi-Han's commitment to the Lin Kuei. Explanations that point to the idea that Bi-Han is relegated to this lifestyle rather than explicitly choosing it and having much of a choice. What makes a person evil? How much agency do we have in choosing if we are? And what does redemption mean? So going back to my original question, what makes a person evil? It's hard to quantify, but I believe what makes a person evil is the summation of the immoral actions one commits, coupled with the context in which said actions were committed. For reference, evil is defined as profoundly immoral and wicked, or profound immorality and wickedness, especially when regarded as a supernatural force. When we say immoral, the implication is that something is being described as wrong. Since morality is subjective, one person's evil may be another person's harmless modus operandi. I think we can generally agree that things like murder, rape, extortion, etc. are bad, but that's not very an interesting conversation. Something that is interesting about the Google definition of evil is that the noun version states that it is often describing some supernatural force. I think when we apply this notion to real people, thus dehumanizing them, we shield ourselves from a harsh truth about human nature. You don't have to be Satan to commit an act of evil. Evil can be committed by your boss, a coworker, a friend, a family member, a partner, and even you, the viewer. We're all capable of committing and being evil. What's even scarier is that what makes us susceptible to being and committing acts of evil isn't some easily available vice. Similarly to Bi-Han, what makes your average person most susceptible to evil is ignorance, simply not questioning things, omitting nuance, and overall, forgoing critical thinking skills is enough to foster bigotry, prejudice, callousness, and just any kind of human phenomenon that lacks empathy. Lack of critical thinking is what enabled the Nazis to systematically target and exterminate Jewish people during World War II. They weaponized their ignorance to allow them to ignore the Jews' humanity, thus allowing them to carry out unspeakable atrocities and war crimes. Despite the depravity of these actions, I do believe that one defense brings into question the morality of those judged. And that is the defense of self-preservation. If one is just preserving themselves, such as Bi-Han whenever he kills Scorpion during their first encounter, can we really ascribe evilness to their moral character? One could argue that if you choose to live a certain lifestyle that necessitates titanic levels of self-preservation to the detriment of others, then that should be enough to cast moral judgments. But I can't really seem to agree. During the Nuremberg trials, one defense that was commonly used is that they were, quote, just following orders, unquote, thus diminishing the responsibility they had. Let's assume that if orders weren't followed, the consequences were exile, imprisonment, death, etc. If that's the case, then given sufficient push and pull factors, one's moral agency can be effectively diminished. Or in other words, if the threat and or incentives are strong enough, committing a moral wrong doesn't meaningfully impact one's moral character. What it does do, however, is that it may make actions that one may have never even considered taking less daunting and more feasible, thus creating a sort of slippery slope. Acknowledging this, if someone is given sufficient threat and or incentives, committing a moral wrong doesn't meaningfully impact one's immediate moral character, but it makes them more susceptible to committing evil in the future. Essentially what I'm saying is that even a Nazi can be redeemable depending on the context of the evil they committed. Redeeming themselves would never justify or account for the evil they committed, but it does set a precedent. There are conditions that exist that could turn you into a Nazi, a greedy leader, or even someone like Bi-Han. Because of said conditions' existence, believing that people can change, that being evil isn't a static attribution, is imperative to what makes us human. As for redemption, there are two basic parts. Part one is the apology. One must acknowledge their wrongdoing without any shifting of the blame, apologize for their part in their wrongdoing, whilst empathizing and sympathizing with the affected party, and make an amendment to their concurrent actions that, at the very least, greatly mitigate the chances of the wrongdoing occurring again. The first part is ideal, but if your sins are great and/or an apology isn't possible, the most you can do is to learn from your mistakes and take great precaution to mitigate the chances of reoffending. For Bi-Han, it is unlikely he will be able to apologize to anyone, given that all the people that he wronged are either dead or would likely kill him if there were another encounter. Acknowledging that, redemption for Bi-Han will look like him refraining from using ignorance as a shield and choosing to be informed about his actions and their consequences. Similarly to Serena, he'd have to abdicate from his predatorial environment and seek refuge in an organization that promotes selflessness and staying informed. As stated earlier, this will never justify or make up for all the evil Bi-Han committed, but it's all we can do.